Good evening. Good evening. Can I get in? I can't get in. Oh, there I am. Hi. I was trying to work out how to use the tech there. Still getting used to it after, was this 5 episodes of being on here? But it's episode 11. Welcome to Friday Night Rambles. We have got a corker for you today. I'm so excited because we are going to delve down the rabbit hole that is children's TV. I am so excited. First of all, hello if you're watching on YouTube. Hello if you're watching on Facebook. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Let's just get on with it, though. So, from Cbeebies Andy Day's Adventures, we've got Puja Panchkoty. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
How are you?
Nice to see you. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. So, from Channel 5's Milkshake, we've got Nathan Connor. Hello, Nathan.
Hello, mate. You all right?
I'm all right. How are you doing, mate?
Really good, thank you.
I am really good, and I am so excited by this next guest as well, because for me, I grew up watching this man on Fun Socks Factory, Playhouse Disney. I didn't quite reach Get Your Own Back, but that's probably, we'll make it up. It's Dave Benson Phillips, though.
Hello, hello, everybody. Hello, Pooja. Hello, Nathan.
Hello, mate.
Hello, world. How you doing?
How are you doing? Well, we are going to say goodbye to you, Dave, for just a second. Nathan, we are going to say goodbye to... Actually, no, Nathan, you're staying here. Pooja, we're going to say goodbye to you. I was getting confused because you're in the wrong order. But we'll say goodbye to you and goodbye to you, Dave. He's laughing. That's because he's got chicken.
Still eating his chicken.
I know.
How big was that bit of chicken?
How big was the chicken, Dave?
It's big chicken. Finished now.
Finished now.
He's got another one lined up, hasn't he?
He has. Nathan, how are you doing, mate?
I'm really good, Yeah, really, really good. I'm so happy to just be, back to work finally. It's been the last 4 months has been something that no one ever thought was going to happen, really, innit? So it's so good to just be back. Much more positive. Yeah, really good. Thank you.
So let's start at the very beginning. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got into it. So let's start by asking you, how did you get into the biz of show?
Oh, we got to go all the way back to 2004, probably. I always wanted to be a footballer or something within sports, athletics or something like that. I got injured. I've got flat feet, and after every race, I used to run the 100 meters, 200 meters. After every race, I used to be limping off. And after a while, I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to damage my feet if I carry on. So me and my mates at school made a boy band. And every talent show, we'd start singing Backstreet Boys and Blue and Westlife and Boyzone, or all the proper, 90s boy bands. We'd done all of that. And then from there, that first time I got on stage, I was like, hold on, I like this feeling. It was such a good feeling. And from there, I started doing performing arts, studied at college, done contemporary theatre. I went to uni in Bournemouth and I stayed there for 2 months and I dropped out. I dropped out of uni after 2 months. Number of reasons. One, just being away from home at that time just wasn't right for me. And 2, I wasn't really going to any classes or anything like that. It was so far away from where my campus was. So, yeah.
So were you doing performing arts?
Yeah. I was studying contemporary theatre at Bournemouth and Paul College. And again, I lasted 2 months and I decided to leave. I dropped out of uni and decided to go my own route and try and get there myself.
Mm-hmm. So what happened after that?
So after that, I started joining like amateur theatre groups. I started working at different places. Like I was a customer service advisor at LG, customer service advisor at Vodafone. I worked at Legoland. I'd done so much stuff just, to get a bit of money in at the time. And then eventually after that, I auditioned to be a redcoat at Butlins in 2010. Oh, Butlins. That was November 2010, and I left uni October 2009. So it was about a year in between. And then I auditioned, and then from there, 2011, I became a Redcoat, and I was there for 6 years.
So then going from Redcoat to TV, how did that transition work?
So as a Redcoat, you do a bit of everything. You host on stage. You might dance in a few shows. You talk to the guests, obviously, all around. You've got 1,000 of guests every single day. I loved the part of DJing. Anything and everything was DJing. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to do late night DJing. So I was DJing the nightclub quite a lot in my first few years at Butlins. Then I started doing the music weekends, so the adult only weekends as well. And then it was probably a couple of years into being a Redcoat is when the Cbeebies presenters started coming over and doing their show. So Katie Ashworth, she started doing a show called I Can Cook live at Butlins, and I was part of that show as well. So I was doing dances, and I was a character at one point called Naughty Salt. Done that a couple of times. It was a lot of fun. And then there was Mr. Maker, of course. He started coming and doing shows and stuff like that. I was part of that show as well. Yeah, lovely Phil. Yeah, you know Phil. Yeah, so I'd done a couple of shows with him. And it was, I think, 2015. Katie said to me, "Oh, I think you'd be a really good kids TV presenter." And it's something that never, ever crossed my mind. It's something that I never, ever thought about. All I wanted to do was DJ, play music, and I wanted to go down that route. But then when she said that, it was like, okay, maybe I could be a kids TV presenter. So I got a show reel made. I didn't even get a professional one made at first. I literally just went in the studio, had my own little camera, and filmed it with my manager at the time, his daughter. And we done like a little rap, a little funny song. And I sent it over to Katie, and she sent it over to the Cbeebies. And I got a screen test at Cbeebies. Wow. And I was like, what, me? Are you sure me? Nathan, no. So yeah, I went up to Cbeebies, went up to Media City in Manchester. Great experience. Loved it. Lovely hotel. They treated me really well as well. The Cbeebies guys, lovely people over there. And I'd done the screen test, but I was so nervous. So nervous. Like before, going on camera and stuff. I'd never been in that setting before, being around cameras. So going on there, my mouth was dry. It's kind of like the first time you go on stage or something like that. You get that nervous feeling where your mouth goes dry and you feel like the earth swallowing you up. That's kind of what it was like. So yeah, I done the screen test and I wasn't successful with that screen test. So after that, I thought to myself, I can't give it up now. I can't give it up. I've got to keep chasing that kids TV presenter dream. So it was about a year later. I stayed at Butlins for another year, carried on doing shows, carried on getting a bit more experience that way. And then I emailed Milkshake and I sent them over a show reel and I got a screen test there. Done the screen test. This time I was still nervous a little bit, but I was a bit more relaxed because, I'd had the experience of the Cbeebies and I'd had a bit more time at Butlins as well. It all helps. And after that, I waited about 3 months after the screen test. And then I heard back. Yeah. So during that time, I thought, okay, I haven't got it. I'll just move on, see what else I can do. Maybe go back to the DJing and try and go down that route this time. And I got the email and I thought someone was winding me up. The email was like, we'd like you to be part of the team. I was like, nah, someone's winding me up here. And then I saw the logos at the bottom, when you get an email or something like that, it's got the logos Channel 5. And I was like, okay, this is for real. This is for real. But I had to keep it a little bit quiet at the time because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know how I was going to be part of the team. At the time, all I knew was that I was going to be part of a series called Bopping About. I didn't know I was going to be an actual in-studio presenter. And then it's when I got the contract through and it said, in-studio presenter. That's like when I thought, okay, this is real. This is brilliant. And I finally made it. So it's a bit of a long journey. It's something that I've not wanted since I was little. But eventually, it's the route I've gone down, and I've got to say I absolutely love it. It's the best job in the world. And I'm so happy to be part of the Milkshake team. That the presenters are like family, the producers are family, everyone, the whole Milkshake family. That's what we are. We're just family, all good friends.
And so I'm guessing, so being in the studio and doing the Milkshake process, how is that in terms of engaging with the audience? How's that response been when you came on board?
It was really good, actually, because at the time, it was a completely new rebrand. So I think it was July 2017, June or July 2017 is when we got the complete new rebrand, new logo, new music, and new studio. So there was a lot of press, and there was a lot of people looking at Milkshake because of the rebranding. So it was a perfect time for me to come in. And to be honest, the messages that I've got from everyone was really positive. They were really happy to see someone new, a new presenter coming on at the time. So yeah, I've got to say, like, it was really good to engage with people on Twitter and Instagram, and then to send me messages saying, "Oh, our kids love you. They love doing the robot, etc." Things like that.
And in terms of your other work as well outside of Milkshake, has obviously, I'm guessing we'll explore that with each guest when we talk about it, but has being on Milkshake changed the type of work that you get coming through? Like
Absolutely.
outside of like Milkshake itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Milkshake, obviously we're not full time. We're still freelancers. So I'm still DJing. I'm still doing a lot of that. I DJ kids parties. I still DJ corporate events around London and other bits and bobs that come in. From Milkshake, pantomime, obviously. I got quite a lot of emails from pantomime, and I was really lucky to get some good pantos. And my show at the moment as well, my Butlin show, which I'm touring, that came off Milkshake as well, obviously, because being a children's TV presenter, that's basically why they booked me, because I'm a children's TV presenter, so I could come in with a kids show, a brand new kids show. So yeah, really grateful to be able to get so much work from Milkshake, really.
And speaking of pantos, you had a cracking one last year in Leicester. That looked an amazing lineup. I know Imagine Theatre, they've been on BBC News recently, and they produced some cracking pantos. Talk a little bit about Leicester. What was like working for them?
It was probably the best 5 weeks I've spent working. It's got to be the best 5 weeks I spent working, from the cast to the crew to the city of Leicester to everything. I was playing the genie in Aladdin, and although I don't do too much, when I do come on, it's very explosive. I've got to do my body popping. There's loads of special effects in there as well from Matt and Natasha. They've done lots of special effects and stuff like that, and magic. It was just brilliant, and we had such a laugh. Everyone in the cast. It was just jokes every single day, and the feedback from the people of Leicester as well, they absolutely loved it. They really did love it. And all the reviews that we got, I absolutely loved it. And I'd go back in any time to work with Imagine. They're really, really nice. Steve, obviously, he's lovely. Still talk to him every now and then. So yeah, it was great. Loved it.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to say goodbye to you now. Thank you so much for coming. We'll get back to you in a second, basically.
Perfect.
Yeah. So let's get Pooja on now.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? How's your day been?
I'm not too. It's been all right. So you do something completely different from Nathan, in the sense that you're not necessarily continuity, but you are in a series.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So before we go on to that, we'll go back and we'll talk about how you got started in the business show.
Okay. That's going back quite a long time as well, to be honest. I always loved performing since I was a kid. And my very first memory of performing arts was when I was about 6, and I went to my first panto, and it was my best friend's mum who had taken us out for a night out, like, a kid's night out, so to speak, to see a panto. And I think I was about, I don't know, like I said, I was about 5 at the time. And I just remember being completely blown away by the experience. I had no idea really what was happening because I'd never been to a panto before, but I just loved it so much. I loved the fact that the girl was a guy and there were all these people dancing and it was just so much fun. And then I didn't really think about it much after that, to be honest. In terms of performing, I just thought of it as something that I thought was brilliant. And then I remember, I think it was 6 years down the line when I was about 12, that I just had this passion to want to perform. I loved singing, I loved dancing. I didn't really know that much about acting. I just knew that it was something that I was passionate about. And at the time, I mean, you probably know by my accent, I grew up in Scotland, so there weren't that many theatre groups or anything out there that you could really be involved in. And the only thing that was like possible to be a part of was a summer show that used to happen in something called the King's Theatre. And my sister said, "Well, you're really into this, and you should give it a go." And I was like, "No, it's kind of shy," but she kind of persuaded me, and I took part in this summer program of theatre for young kids, and it was the most amazing experience I had ever had because I realized that this was something that brought out the best in me. I just I I I loved every moment of it. I made new friends. I learned and polished a skill that I didn't know I could perform in front of others. Um, and that's how it all started. It started from there. And I remember very, very vividly doing quite a few shows after that. And actually, not long down the line, I did another show, and there were a few agents in theatre, and at the time, those agents were actually opening up a school, one of the first schools in Glasgow, in fact, and had taken down my details, and I later on auditioned for this school, and became kind of completely besotted with the performing world. That was it, to be honest. And it all just went from there. And then I did around about 15, 16, I did my first show with the BBC. I went for an audition, and at the time, I wasn't thinking of it as a profession. It was something I just loved. I just loved it so much. I loved the fact that I was with other people that were incredibly talented. I love the fact I get to sing and dance and be a bit crazy. And yeah, so then, yeah, around about 16, I did a show with the BBC, which was based in Scotland. And from there on, I ended up getting an acting agent, um, and then was just doing it as something in addition to what other things I was doing. So it wasn't like the main thing. You know, people have this ambition that it's going to be their sole thing that they do. At the time, it was my escape from real, and that's why I was doing it. And it just ended up that I ended up doing quite a lot of TV work, a bit of theatre, TV, theatre, TV, theatre, and then I ended up going to uni and studying film and media because um, if you know anything about being Asian, your parents aren't very happy if you just do theatre. So I picked the route which was kind of the more academic route to the performing world, which was actually do a media degree. So I ended up doing a media degree, which fell in love with it even more. Loved every element of production to being on stage to just everything that it kind of encompassed and never looked back. I've just been doing, like I said, many different avenues, whether it's been film, whether it's been TV, and slowly auditioned more and more while I was studying as well. I tried to fit it in with when I had time off with um, with uni or what have you. And I was lucky enough to have those little opportunities where I just made connections with people and ended up getting more and more work. And then I had a period of time where I did very little, um, but would do the commercial here, the commercial there, and it really just helped me through university and just growing up actually and meeting people that had similar kind of passion to myself. And then many, many years down the line, when I moved to London, I had a phone call from a new agent saying to me they wanted me to audition for a show that existed called Andy's Adventures. And at the time, I had been delving into Bollywood and doing lots of things, and I had been away, and I had this kind of new confidence that I didn't really realize I had, to be honest. And I'd been working with people from a complete different field. So being an actor for a children's TV show was kind of different. And at the time, I remember thinking, okay, right, okay, of course, I take any opportunity that comes that allows you to better yourself in a different way. So I remember even back in, I mean, it's been 6 years, I think I've been in the show, 5 years, 6 years since I've been in the show with Andy Day. And I remember vividly being asked to send a self-tape. So even in those days, long before COVID, it was all self-tape. Yeah, definitely. So I did a self-tape. And at the time, it was just for them to see you, whether they liked you or not. And I wasn't even given a script. It was just a monologue that you wanted to perform. And so, I performed the monologue. I sent through my self-tape, and experience kind of teaches you when you're in the acting world that you stop thinking about things once you hand it in. You do your best, and then you forget about it. Otherwise, you will have sleepless nights.
Yeah,
so I kind of
totally.
I completely just kind of put it in the back burner and thought, oh, you know what? That was a really nice experience. I got to send in a self-tape. Hopefully they'll like me, but that's fine. And then I think it was literally in the same way that Nathan said, I think it was about 3 months later, they contacted me and said to me, please, would you come to Bristol for a screen test? And I was like, okay, this is still happening? Like, this was 3 months ago. Okay, cool. So off I went to Bristol because the show actually filmed in Bristol. And off I went to Bristol, and there was looked up the show even more in depth and realized that my nieces and nephew were besotted by Andy Day and his charisma and what he stands and represents for children, and was like, oh my gosh, it's Andy Day. Okay. So anyway, went in, didn't think that he was going to be there at the audition, but it turned out that he was there at the audition. And had no idea. I mean, for me, I had no idea that this was the route I would be taking, a new route that I'd be taking at the time. It was just another opportunity. And I remember going in and seeing him and meeting the directors, the production team, all of them. There was quite a few of them actually at the audition at the time, and thinking, wow, this is a lot of people. I've never been to audition with quite so many people before. Usually there's 2 to 3, and there was like 5 or 6 of them at the time. And I remember thinking, oh, okay. And then had a really great audition. Andy was amazing. He made me feel incredibly comfortable. And I think at that point, I actually thought to myself, I feel like he's a friend, even though I didn't know him. And I suppose that's what resonates so well with him on camera as well. And that's why kids love him. But I remember at the time just thinking, okay. And then, the audition went really well. And then I got a phone call saying, you've got the job, basically. We start filming. So we did. Then I filmed for Andy's Prehistoric Adventures. And it's gone on to being, I don't know how many series. Andy's Prehistoric, Andy's Safari, Andy's Aquatic. And the list keeps going on. So, being in, I don't know how many episodes. I think it's more than 150 or 200 episodes. And
wow.
So it's been an incredible journey. And did I answer the question? Did I babble? Did I ramble the way I should have?
That was brilliant. That was honestly brilliant. So I want to go back to a little bit just to sort of wrap this up a little bit up. So you went and did your media degree. Do you think doing the media degree A's helped you with a better understanding of how everything works? And B, do you think it makes you a little bit more employable in that sense?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think to know your art from in front of the camera and behind the camera is always like a huge credit to yourself, because just to be able to understand that allows you to do better. I don't think that it's the be all end all though, because if you're getting that experience, then you start. If you're a reflective learner in what you're doing, you will pick up those skills as the more you do it, basically.
Yeah.
I think for me, the route I took was purely because I love writing. And even back then, when I was 17, 18, I was already writing. And I knew that at some point, which I did go on to do, and I will continue to do, is I wanted to use that experience, that joy that I felt when I was doing something, and hopefully at some point in my life, be able to do it myself. So for me, it was the right choice because I kind of had that goal as a future goal in my head. If everything went wrong and I couldn't perform, I would make other people perform for me, and that was.
Yeah.
And so, um, so I think if you are somebody who's passionate about performing, you can take many different avenues as long as you stay true to yourself and um, you use any opportunity that comes your way to actually, give things a go to make those connections. I think you'll do well. Whether you do a media degree or you just get lots of experience, life experience doing theatre, whether it's community theatre, whether it's whatever it is that you do, but to have that passion and drive to continually do it, I think will kind of build you with enough resources to hopefully go on to do what you want to do. I couldn't tell you. I know there's plenty of people out there who did media degrees and who've done acting degrees who are still waiting for that big break. So I don't think there's a one set rule for all that works. I think sometimes it's not just how hard you work, but finding something that works for you. You know, it,
Yeah.
it should fit in with your passion, and if that resonates enough, then it should probably, it will make an impression in some way.
And I think, especially in these really weird times, by making things work for you and going and finding new ways to create work is definitely something that I think a lot of people will hopefully be jumping on the bandwagon in a couple of months time in the next as we move out of whatever happens next. But we are going to say goodbye to you very, very quickly for now. We will come back, don't worry. We will come back because there's one person we haven't seen yet. And this is going to make my mum so happy because my mum, literally when I told that this person was coming on the show, she said, that's pretty cool. It's probably the most proud thing she's had of me so far. And I've done a lot of cool things. I'd like to think, but my mum doesn't think so. But Dave Benson Phillips, hello. You made my mum very happy.
Hello there. And to anybody watching this, hi, hello.
How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm fine. More to the point, sir, how are you?
I'm all right. I am really good. I'm really happy how things are going. And I'm just really happy that we've got this platform to talk about different things like this. So thank you again to yourself and to Nathan and Pooja for coming on, because I'm absolutely loving hearing your stories. So let's talk about how you started in the business show.
Right, the business show. Well, that goes back to when I was a child at school. So many years ago, because let's face it, I am well into my 50s now, my mid-50s. And when I was growing up, I was always a bit loud and a bit leery and liked to perform. And it was me and a kid called Neil Bolster. When we were in primary school, we used to put on like little shows for the girls who were attending the same primary school as we did, and they would swoon over us and everything else, because that was the sort of thing that we saw on television. You know, we were children of Opportunity Knocks and New Faces and various talent shows like that. Anyway, got to years later, I would start performing in school plays and things. I got a chance to be Dick Whittington when I was in middle school, which was the thing that really changed me. And it wasn't until I was in high school where I realized that I wanted to be a performer. And of course, academically speaking, I'm not the sharpest tool in the box. So being able to do a lot of things that were extracurricular were the things that got me going, I guess. And I wound up again working in a place called the Polka Children's Theatre, which is in Wimbledon in South London. If any of you know it, it's a wonderful theatre. It's now known as the Polka Theatre. Again, they do shows and plays for children. And I worked there thanks to a guy that I knew at school who introduced me to it. And I worked there as an usher. So I was very lucky. So each week I would get to see these performers performing. And then I got to see the performers rehearsing. And then I got to see performers auditioning for the place that they were rehearsing that they would perform. And that was quite interesting. That opened up my love of theatre big time. So, of course, they realized that I wanted to learn more about the business. Not only about the acting, but they also showed me how shows are put on, how plays are made, from the writing through to the designing of the stage stuff, the learning of the stagecraft, basically a formal all-rounding of theatre work, which was just as well because, like I said to you before, academically, I'm not that great. And I never, unlike your other two guests today, I didn't get that chance to go to theatre school or study in any kind of environment like that. So a lot of what I did was vocational, and then it became eventually on-the-job training. I then got into the holiday camps. I first of all worked for Pontins, where I had spent a year as the only black blue coat in the world.
Wow.
I'm just going to let that sink in, because now, I mean, no doubt you go to holiday villages and you see lots of black people working left, right, and centre in various jobs. So imagine, you know, you're the people who make people's holidays work. You communicate with the people and stuff like that. And predominantly the people who do those jobs, the blue coats, they're predominantly white. So to have me come in after doing an audition in the Locarno Ballroom in Bristol, I doubt it even exists now. So I got the audition and I went off and I became a Pontins blue coat, and that was a real opener. Cut the other years later, other various show jobs to come and go in front of the performers, backstage, all of that sort of thing. And I wind up doing a season of a place called Timawa Holiday Village for Haven Leisure. Now, this is where things begin to take off. So I went in as a children's uncle, a children's entertainer. And again, same scenario, only black man for miles, North Wales, not far from Liverpool, loads of kids coming down. I entertained them all. And I used to do some wacky things. So, for instance, one of the things I thought I was going to get fired. I decided that we needed to do something more cultural, because there were all the children there, and I decided we're going to do, for all the parents watching, all the kids, we were going to do Swan Lake. So there's me and about 100 kids, and I convinced them to take all the curtains off their caravans and dress up in skirts. We spent a whole afternoon doing this thing, and the next thing you know, we put on this whole ballet thing for the adults watching. And I thought, oh, that's it. I'm going to land in trouble. And I used to do lots of wild things. Anyway, what then happened was somebody had actually filmed me performing with the children and had sent it into BBC Manchester with a letter saying, you should take a look at this bloke. He's very funny. And it got a bit silly. And the next thing I know, I got a letter from BBC Manchester that kind of went, well, we'd like to have you in for an audition. And it was like, oh, yeah, all right, then I'll come in. So well. So, I go to Manchester and I meet this gentleman. I had no idea how an audition went. So I literally took all my equipment with me. So I took a guitar, ukulele, juggling balls, balloons, the whole bit. And normally an audition would last, 3 or 4 minutes? That's what they're looking for. So 45 minutes later, I'm still ripping into my routines and juggling balls and doing magic tricks and producing sort of all sorts of whatnots for the secretaries, who must have thought, oh, this is a lovely diversion from London. And this guy, once he tells me to stop, he says, listen, go away, we'll think about it. So I get a letter that says, well done, we like what we saw. We would like to suggest that you try for this program. In fact, we're going to send you in to do the job, called Play School. Now, Play School was the show that I grew up with in the 1970s. So that was huge. And there were people on it like Brian Cant, Floella Benjamin, and loads of others. Fred Harris was in there, Tony Arthur, lots of great people. And I couldn't believe it. And the next thing that I knew, I thought, great, we had a wild party, because in those days, like I said, I was working on the holiday camps as a children's uncle. That was by day. By night, I was a podium dancer. All right, but that's another story. So here we go. Next thing I know, I'm on my way down to London, only to find out that the job for Play School had gone, because they had decided, after years of entertaining the children and educating children, that Play School was to be taken off the air. So I then auditioned for its equivalent, its sort of successor show called Playbus, and that later became Play Days. And that was the audition where I went in, and again, I didn't think I did my best audition, but here's the thing: I managed to land the job, and I emulated one of my heroes, Derek Griffiths. I sang one of his songs, and I played the guitar, and it all got a bit wild and a bit interesting. And I got this wonderful letter saying, we would like to have you in. Now, at the time, everybody was being offered a 9-month contract. So they had lots of actors in, lots of actresses, lots of presenters who had great experience and knew what they were doing. They were not sure about me. I'm going to be honest about that. They literally said, we are not sure about you, but there's something about you that we like. We're going to give you a contract that's going to be 6 weeks long. And they literally did that for 7 years. So I got to work on Playdays for a long old time, and it was a fantastic education for somebody like myself who's not very good at learning stuff. But these people had me in doing what I could only call the ultimate in apprenticeship work, the ultimate in on-the-job training. They were some great writers, great teachers, great script writers. The children that I worked with all over the country and in some parts of the world, again, this job took me left, right, and centre. And as a children's entertainer, which is what is on my passport, and an entertainer, it was the most incredible eye opener. It was the most incredible job to do. So that's how I got into that. And then, of course, everything else spawned off of it. So my oh, hello. I thought, oh, sorry, we're just about to have a seagull come in the house. All right. So, yeah. Okay, it's gone. Sorry. Yeah. It was just sat, just looking at me, having a look. I should have actually turned the camera around, but there you go. So yeah, it was a really incredible thing to do Play Days. And like I said, so Panto came. So that my first job was in, I think that was Canterbury, the first one, Marlow Theatre in Canterbury. And I did loads of other pantos after that. So I must have been now on something like 20 odd pantos by now. I've yet to sit down and sort of count them all. But I've done loads of panto, loads of filming work, loads of other things that have stemmed off of that. I do lots of things for Makaton. I do lots of musical events for people with special needs, and it's just been incredible. And it's like Pooja said, it's like Nathan says, it's amazing how a job like that opens you up to the world and gives you so many opportunities. It's been a great thing. So yeah, long and short of it is I've been going at it a very, 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 very long time.
We've got lots of people talking about you, Dave. Here, Nick Farmer has just got in touch here saying, DBP, hope you're well, mate. Long time since I worked with you. I was a stage manager at the centre stage for Bogner.
Oh, I've just
Lovely
realised
Nick Farmer.
I've just seen your face. Hello, Mr. Farmer. How are you?
Love Nick, absolute top man.
He is. Geezer.
Get your own back. We need to talk about that, because that was a long-running children's series, and obviously children's series obviously varying in length, but at the time, Blue Peter obviously was only the sort of the biggest running show, still is to this day. But in terms of like that's a really long run to do, like 8-9 years of it.
Well, 8, 9 years actually. To tell you the truth, it was 14. So
Wow.
yeah, it went on. We had 14 seasons of Get Your Own Back, which was the most amazing thing ever, considering how the whole thing started. You know, we were told in those days, and they did it a lot with the programs. They would call it a 3 and out. So you would do 3 runs, 3 seasons of whatever episodes there were. So 12 or 14 episodes back in those days. And then you had to be ready to be told, well, that's it. We're going to try something new. So imagine our surprise. We started off, first of all, doing a little 15-minute version of this show in filming it in Bristol, BBC Bristol. And it was a lot of fun to do. And at that point, nobody had ever seen it. But the buzz from the studio audience told us that we'd literally latched onto something, although it sounds very simple and very childlike, was actually a really good idea for a show. So imagine we did 3 series. And then by the end of series 3, we were all at our sort of last day party. We were all sitting there saying, well, this has been fun, everybody. This has been lovely. See you on the job, see you out there somewhere. And the executive producer at the time walked in and said, see you next year, we're doing season 4. And it was like, excuse me? And it was just, it was just the most phenomenal thing. And then season 4 became season 5, season 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then some more. And it became a juggernaut.
Wow. I'm going to bring this up as well.
Okay.
This I remember. I when I just saw this, I remember this. It comes back to me. I've realized how much you took over the airwaves, the video waves, whatever we call them. I don't know, but that was a blast from the past there.
Yes, Harry Stedman, thank you very much for that, by the way. Yes, Boomer the Yeti, Planet Cook. It was myself and Kevin Woodford. Funnily enough, I was thinking of him the other day because we've done a few things together, including a panto run, which we did, he's tremendous fun. And I haven't seen him in years and I miss him terribly. And and we did this run and I got to be this Yeti in this latex outfit. And I would, and I was a Yeti who liked spaghetti, and there was lots of physical work, very physical, and it was great fun. It was great fun to do. It was a great 6 months. So
and speaking about shows that we watched, we've got a bit of feedback on that. I don't know if it's your end,
Pooja!
Dave.
It's Pooja!
And we've got Nathan coming back.
It's Nathan!
Hey!
It's Nathan and Pooja!
I've been listening to you, Dave, and I'm just so in awe.
Are you really?
I'm completely in awe. I heart you so much, man.
Stop it. You know what? Both Nathan and you, Pooja, you've said more or less the same thing. We've all said more or less the same thing. But the only difference between you two is you managed to do the studying thing. I know, Nathan, you did it for a short while, but at least you formally did it. Pooja, you managed to do it, and you got some learning stuff behind you. I was told, and I'm going to be quite honest with you, I was told that I was too stupid to do formal education like that. That's what I was told. I mean, it's actually written on my report. It's a pity he's stupid, and they really did use the word stupid. So yeah, it's really quite nice to know that that I'm part of this amazing pantheon of entertainers for children and educators for children, and that we've all said the similar thing about it. We come into it and we've realized how amazing this job is that we've been handed. That we get to shape young minds, we get to educate young minds, however hard or softly we do it. And we get to shape people's perceptions of things. It's great. When I went on television entertaining children, there weren't that many black people to do it. And that's the 80s. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And when I was watching in the 70s, it was like Derek Griffiths, Ben Thomas and Flo Ella Benjamin. That was kind of it. So from that point of view, it's quite amazing. And then, of course, look at you people now. I mean, the one thing that I could say is you people are gorgeous. You know what I mean? Gorgeous presenters. You see, I could, if I did an audition now, looking the way that I look, they wouldn't let me in.
Oh, that's not
Aesthetically,
true.
I'm not good on the eye. You know what I mean? Dave,
You're
have you
beautiful
ever thought
on the
about writing?
eyes.
Dave, have you ever thought about writing scripts? You know, that sort of thing. So,
Dave.
Speaking about the idea of everything being the same, do you think, in terms of engaging with children, in terms of the way children engage with TV, do you think that's changing as we go on? Do you think in terms of making TV shows, do you think that's going to get harder as we go on, or is it getting harder now even?
given the current climate that we're in, mate, filming anything's going to be hard. All right. But the way that we watch children, I mean, children's television is a generational thing, and all generations growing up, all their children, as they become adults, they will look back on their past and they will look at their TV shows and say, ours was the best era. That's a chief thing that goes across every era. You know, people come up to me and they say, the era in which I presented television programs for children was their best era, no other question. Yet, as far as I'm concerned, when I grew up, it was Play School, it was Sesame Street. Those were the 70s. Those were my golden years for children's television. Those were the ones that I watched. So there's always that. There's, as long as there is content, as far as I'm concerned, where you have human beings talking to children at home, which is a key thing. That for me is something that must never ever change, that you have your presenters engaging with the child at home. You can have all the animations that you like and all the informative stuff and the CGI and everything else, which is great, and the flashing lights that bring the children in. But at the end of the day, as long as you have a good script, some human beings who are passionate about the work they do, and the fact that they can interact with the child at home and link with the child at home, that is the key thing, and that's got to go across everything. But that's just my personal thing.
Yeah, like TV.
Pooja might be different, you know.
No, I completely agree. Sorry, Nathan, you were going to say something. I won't interrupt.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, it's like I think TV in general is just changing, isn't it, as we go along? Like as in like live TV. Only like live TV now, like the only live thing that we really watch is like sports or things like that. That's like the main live thing. A lot of it's online now, really, isn't it? Like even I've got young nephews and nieces and whatever else, and they like to watch the iPlayer. They can get anything and everything on there, on-demand stuff, Amazon Prime, Netflix. Do you know what I mean? It's all online. So I think that's changing in that sense. But I agree with Dave, as in like as long as you still have those old school elements there, as in people that you can connect with on the screen for the kids to connect to, you know, as long as that's still there, I think that's, you know, the fundamental thing in children's TV.
And also, I think across the board for a lot of children, and I know especially, I mean, this time right now resonates with all of us. Lots of parents working incredibly hard to keep their children entertained and educated. And we're a part of that. Having people that speak to your children, having people that connect with children, having that bit of time where parents or carers can switch off away from their child for a moment, not to say not caring for them, but switch away for a moment and know that they're leaving them in good hands to be educated, to have that knowledge, to have that resilience that you talked about so clearly, Dave, the resilience to grow your passions for things that might necessarily not resonate with every single person that sees you, but really makes you who you are. And I think those things actually do stem from what we absorb as children, you know, what children see themselves as, to be inspired, to be able to articulate. And I think, you know, in a world where it's just tapping a screen, having someone that talks to you, having someone that tells you a story, having someone that transports you to another place, sometimes actually that's the only connection children are making. And it's a connection that we should not deprive them of, because actually that's the only human connection that some children are making, whether it's a way, you know, not every child has a happy, this sounds kind of dark, but and gloomy, but not every child has a happy upbringing. And actually, some children use TV as their escape to a better place. And I think I think the programs that we create, I think the way we communicate with our children gives them the aspiration to find a better place, to become something better than they think that others think they can be. And I think TV, as long as it's done, like you said, and that Nathan have said, in the right formula, it's not just about putting reality TV out there that has no purpose. It should have a purpose. If we're creating TV in any way, whether it's for children, whether it's for adults, as long as it has a purpose where we are giving them a chance to grow in some way, I think we're doing our duty very well. And yes, I do think it is changing, but hopefully it's changing in a way where it becomes even more accessible. And like you said, Nathan, children are, using their iPads or their phones or what have you. And accessibility has become such a buzzword these days for being able to be part of something. And hopefully people like you, Robert, that are creating things for people to access, it motivates children, to say, okay, hold on, I have a passion. I have, and it helps them own and have ownership of something that they can create. So I think TV is changing. I think, but for a positive, I hope. And I hope, and I think that's down to us and what we ask from TV. If we ask for the right things, that is what we will be delivered. If we ask for things that are shallow, I think that's what we will get on our plate. So I don't know.
Or chicken if it's Dave.
I want to bring this comment up before we play a game. One thing that I don't think, this is Harry saying, one thing that I don't think will ever die is the magic of panto, even though TV's moved a lot more online. And I agree with that. I mean, Dave, you've done some of the biggest pantos in the country. I mean, to do Birmingham Hippodrome. Was Danny LaRue as well?
Which one was that? There's Hippodrome, Birmingham? Which one did I do at Birmingham? Because I've done that many.
Was it Cinderella you did with Danny?
Yeah, I think I did Snow White, I did Cinderella. I've done quite a few with Danny. And yeah, they were mammoth pantos. One that I did in Plymouth was not only did I have Danny LaRue, I had Britt Ekland as well, who was like, former Bond girl, glamorous lady, Swedish all a bit, dilly dee, dilly da, massive panto. It was, so yeah, I've done some huge ones. But like I said, off the back of being a children's entertainer who had delusions of advocacy and wound up doing this children's TV show. But yeah, I got some huge pantos, man. One of them I did with in Brighton with Julian Clary on his first ever panto run. So you've got this, internationally known camp comic, as he were. I thank him. And he was his first ever panto, and I was brought in. He was Dandini, and I was brought in to be Buttons. Of all people, I mean, this is the guy who does lots of innuendo jokes. Everything's always to do with the bottom or something. That's his. And of course, when we were in Brighton, he would say things like, "And now it's time for me to go for a walk out and get a blow on the front." As in, because he was one thing. Oh yeah, lots of that, Pooja. Yeah, lots of that. And the audiences lapped him up. So of course they had to bring in Mr. Fluffy Children's Entertainer, Dave Benson Phillips, to balance it out. So huge panto. That was good fun. Danny LaRue, I must say, was legendary. He was one of my biggest loves, and also there's actually quite a huge regret. And I'll tell you two things if I'm allowed to do so.
Go ahead.
I had seen Danny LaRue at the Wimbledon Theatre when I was a boy at school, in middle school. As you do, all the schools go out and go see the panto and everything else. Now, if you've ever been to Wimbledon Theatre, it's a gorgeous looking room. And to let us people in it was quite the joy, because, we weren't a posh school, but we were surrounded by lots of posh schools. So there we were watching Danny LaRue. I think Jimmy Tarbuck was one of the entertainers, or one of the principal comics. And Billy Dainty was in there somewhere. I cannot quite remember the panto, but I can remember that Danny LaRue came out And in those days, he had lovely legs. And he had this dress that was split from the floor right up to his waist. And he slung his leg forward and held his hands like this, and went, like this. And I kid you not, the place applauded. But got to be for what, 2-3 minutes? It felt like 5 minutes in the end. And he said at the end of it, the applause died down. He went, "Please don't stop." And he was just like that. And he was just mesmerizing. And I got to work with him years later. And I reminded him of this fact. And so we got along like a house on fire. He's also the guy who was a great storyteller, He would literally, you'd ask him a question. And my question was, "So how did this all begin for you, Danny?" "Wow, I was born in Southern Ireland." And he literally went off. And we were supposed to have an hour for lunch. 2.5 hours later, we're all still there having lunch with Dad. We'd missed rehearsals. It was just a shock. He was just a shocker. And he was one of those people that he always had a story about everybody. He knew everybody. He'd met Elvis. He met Bob Hope. He hung with politicians. He'd lived the life. He'd entertained everybody. He knew the Queen really well, had photographs with him and the Queen and everything else. And he was one of those guys that at the time I used to record people and interview people and film people and sort of build up an anthology of people who I'd worked with. And he was the one, and I wished I'd done it, where I'd had a tape machine or some sort of recording device and just shoved it under his nose and said, "Danny, tell me about your life." Because I was hoping to do so. And the day I got the machine together and the money to get the machine together, he died. And I just never got. It's one of my biggest regrets. So, I now make a point every time I ever sort of meet anybody. And if I think, do you know what, I'd like to film, I'd like to interview, I just shove a recording device under their nose or put a camera on them and just hope that they don't punch my lights out. But he was just, stunning. But I've done a lot of those big. Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, yes, he did. And a lot of the time, again, only black performer in on the stage, and that was about it. So very interesting times. That's for other interviews, right?
Honestly, imagine Danny Diller on this. We'd be rambling for 2.5 hours. So we're going to play a little game now. This is called Don't Hesitate.
Oh yeah, what's that one? Is that a boy band? Is that the band that we are?
It can be if you want.
Don't hesitate.
And basically, you're gonna get your subject each. You have 60 seconds to talk about said subject. If you hesitate in any way, shape, or form, etc., your time stops. So let's see who's gonna go first. Totally at random.
What?
Nathan!
Me! Oh, dearie me. All right, okay. What have I got to do? Okay. So
Right.
This is your subject.
I'm going to give you a subject.
Oh.
How long have I got to talk about it?
You've got a minute.
60 seconds, mate.
You are going to get monkeys.
Oh.
Monkeys are an animal. They've got lots and
Your
lots of
time
hair.
hasn't started yet.
Oh, is it not?
No, your time
Well ready, when I
starts now.
Monkeys are an animal. They can be found in Africa and loads of other countries, which I don't know. I only know that country. They've got a really long tail, and they swing.
You said
Did I?
You said 6 seconds.
Oh
6
my
seconds.
goodness.
Actually, a lie. 7 seconds. 7
Oh,
seconds.
that's harsh.
Is that it?
Oh, that's harsh.
That's harsh.
That's hard, man.
I did tell you it was hard, but to be fair,
Leave it.
you're not the worst.
Really?
I thought
Someone
you
got
were pretty good. I didn't
someone
hear
got
it
4
all.
seconds.
Okay, I'm
Tell me
alright.
who got Danny Rogers, as in Ted Rogers' son, got 4 seconds.
I'm happy. I'm all right then. I'm okay. I'll take 7.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't even
fine.
realise.
I didn't realize
You
did
don't.
it.
I got 13 seconds when I did this. I
Rob,
was
you're
not happy.
You're
Oh,
so
I
on
was
it.
not happy. Pooja, you're next.
Oh my
Oh.
goodness. Oh wow. Okay.
Are you ready for yours?
I'm actually nervous. This is
Is that her
awful.
subject? Is that Pooja's subject? Go.
Oh my goodness.
Plasters.
Are you going to tell me when to go?
I will tell you. How do you feel about it first?
I feel I'm actually feeling the most nervous I've ever felt. This is just the worst feeling. Um, wow.
Good. Your
Thanks.
time starts now.
Plasters. What can I tell you about plasters? Well, when I have got a cut, I usually like to use a plaster. And very recently, I know that plasters have been designed so that they fit all colors and shades. There are many different types of plasters. I particularly like the plasters that have pictures of animations on them, such as Beauty and the Beast, or sometimes even a superhero like Batman, because then I feel like that plaster is getting to work and that I can save the day. Plasters are amazing things. They stop you from scratching your skin and getting into the cuts and bruises that you might have created. Plasters are unique and they facilitate you to stop yourself from being hurt again. Plasters are incredible things that have been invented by whom I do not know. Plasters can be. Oh. I won! I was so close!
I've got some bad news for you.
What?
10 seconds out.
Oh no!
50 seconds. That makes you outside of the 60-second champions we've got. That
Hello.
makes you the best person that we've had.
I've never won anything!
Nathan, we lost you.
By the way, I can't hear you very well.
I can't hear you, Robert.
Can you not hear me? Try again. Let's see.
Sound like a robot.
Nathan, I am your father, is what he's saying.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's fair.
Honestly, I've got a special little microphone that I've got, and it's useless. I'm getting a new one, I've decided. Mum, if you can help me out, that'd be lovely.
Well, I was just about to say, do you know what? I was just about to say thank you very much, everybody, for taking part in this. Well done, Puja. Yeah, you know, that's
no
great.
chance of that happening. No.
Oh, yeah.
10 seconds.
10
man.
seconds. That is
Pooja.
I'm
Oh,
sorry. I
no.
would have got. I'm so annoyed now.
Dave, this is your chosen subject.
It's not chosen by me.
How do you feel about that one then?
Okay, go on then.
Right, Dave, pigeons, your time starts now.
There is much to be said for the noble pigeon. They are known to some people as flying rats or rats with wings. There are people, however, who do love the pigeons. As a child brought up in the fair city of South London, well, in fact, in London, I had seen loads and loads of pigeons. And in particular, when you go to Trafalgar Square, the place is full of these flying things, to the point where there were people who actually made money by getting bird seed, which they would sell to tourists, and they would feed these seeds to the pigeons, these rats with wings, who not only would land on people as they had their photographs, but they would also defecate on people as well. I did not like that sort of thing. No, I did not. However, I now happen to live in a town by the sea where not only do we have pigeons, we also have seagulls, which do exactly the same thing, and they also pinch people's chips. But pigeons...
60 seconds! 60 seconds! 60 seconds!
He's only done it.
You did it!
He's only done it.
Stop it! I'd like to thank my fellow combatants. Nathan, thank you very much. Pooja, I tell you, you put up a fight, girl. Whoa!
Do you know what? I love pigeons now.
I still hate them.
Where I live by the sea, I live in Worthing in West Sussex, and we have, if you guys live by the coast, you'll know about them. We have some of the hilarious seagulls on the planet. In fact, I made the national papers last year because there was a seagull that tried to pinch my sandwich, and I pinched the sandwich back off the seagull, and the seagull was vindictive enough to wait for me after I was doing my performance and actually pooed on my car. Totally and utterly pooed on my car. It actually sorted me out. It had a memory and thought, I'm getting this geezer. And it not only covered the front of the car, it covered the roof of the car, the back of it. It basically, whatever it had inside its body, It was thrown out through its mouth and through its bottom and just literally covered the car. I mean, people couldn't believe it. People could not believe it because I took out this seagull. I went, no, you're not having a sandwich. And this seagull just went, no, I'm going to pawn your car, mate.
Mate, they're evil. They're evil. They
They
are.
are evil.
They will take anything and everything.
Oh,
Honestly,
yeah, they do.
they'll attack you, won't they?
Oh, yeah, they will. We have in Worthing. It's called Warwick Street, and it's famous for two things in Worthing. One, it's pubs where they used to have lots of live entertainment. This was before COVID, people. And the other one was it's called a Seagull Alley because it's the perfect bombing run because all the restaurants, people will eat outside and the seagulls will literally fly down like the strafing run. You know, like in Star Wars where Luke Skywalker goes into the chasm and he's just about to fire the rocket. It's like that.
Ew.
With restaurant chairs going up it. So these seagulls go and they just literally just take out sandwich, ice cream, cups of tea, crisps, nuts. There was one time, and it was very funny. I was with a group of friends, and we were having sort of food there, and we saw this one seagull was just walking up and down doing this, and we're all laughing at this entertaining seagull. And we thought this is really funny, not realizing that above us there were a bunch of seagulls who basically just came in, nabbed what we were eating. Which was a load of pasta. Get this. One of us had linguine, and there was a seagull that came in, necked it, took it back up. There was nothing left on the plates, and they literally did that with our meal. They literally did. Oh yeah, legendary rags. But no, I've never won anything. What do I win?
Pride.
Oh, I thought.
If you're lucky, you might get a mug. I don't know. We haven't designed the mug.
I was hoping for something financial. I mean, given the current circumstances, I've got a sign ready that says "We'll drop trousers for food." Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with all of it.
Well, on that bombshell, do you know what? This hour's been absolutely brilliant. Dave, Nathan, Pooja, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for having us, mate.
On that bombshell, next week we are going to have an episode based on the art form of a pantomime dame. So we've got 3 dames from up and down the country who are going to be sharing their stories with us. Meanwhile, a big thank you to Pooja. Thank you. Big thank you to Nathan. Thank you. And the legend that is DBP, if I can get the initials
watch all
right.
my stuff. I'm on tomorrow all over the weekend live and doing all sorts of stuff.
There he is. Yes, go check them out on the socials. Right, we will see you next week. There he is. I'm leaving with that shot because that's brilliant. He's written that himself. Absolute brilliant.
Yeah, I'm still learning editing.
See you later, everyone. Ta-ra!
Bye-bye.